Don't worry, folks, we're here. We're just struggling with the thumbnail.
The connection's just not good enough. Go down. Oh, no.
Don't worry. Okay, I'll read out the thumbnail. WCW, there we go. A huge WCW pay-per-view is being brought back by All Elite Wrestling. This is breaking news. That's why we had a few technical issues at the start of the stream with the thumbnail staying on there. But AEW have literally just tweeted. It happened about 23 minutes ago at 5 p.m. GMT. Don't know what that is in the States. And they posted the AEW Dynamite with a little championship belt emoji, which I think appears whenever you type those words with a hashtag into Twitter.
It's an automatic one, yes.
Scheduled for Wednesday, January 15th in Miami, Florida, has gotten just a little bit bigger now as the event will be officially titled Bash at the Beach. Tickets go on sale this Friday, November 22nd at noon Eastern for AEW's Bash at the Beach. And then they've tweeted this poster with Bash at the Beach and this wonderful Miami Vice style lettering.
Yep.
Shades of Joey Janela. Exactly. It's at the Watsco Center at the University of Miami. This is, Florida's big. Yep. But this is the Performance Center's home turf. This is NXT's ground. It's their state.
Well, that's in Tampa?
Yeah. I imagine they're a 10-minute drive away.
Yes.
On the poster, we have Cody Rhodes, Jon Moxley, Chris Jericho, the AEW champion, front and center. Awesome Kong, interestingly, at the back, not Rio or anyone. And Dustin Rhodes, but also very tinily in the bottom right, asterisk. AEW stars subject to change. Smart move.
Cards subject to change.
Yes. So this is, of course, a episode of TV. It's an episode of Dynamite, not the pay-per-view itself. Mm-hmm. So what is Bash at the Beach for younger viewers or viewers who have not gone back to relive those WCW glory years? It's one of the bigger shows, theme shows that WCW used to do wonderfully. You know, you think of Halloween Havoc with the ghoulish theme set with pumpkins and witches and ghosts. And then you had the traditionally really large pay-per-views, like their version of WrestleMania was Starrcade.
Yes.
Their version of Survivor Series was War Games. What else did you have?
Well, War Games wasn't a pay-per-view as such. It was just
it was a match within it
had
at Super Brawl.
Super Brawl?
Or World War.
Like across the war. It would be across the war.
Slamboree, Great American Bash, those ones. But Bash at the Beach was really their July summer pay-per-view.
It was the one that was designed to compete with SummerSlam.
And they always saved their biggest stuff for it.
Yeah, there was some really, really big stuff in the history of Bash at the Beach. Obviously, the 1995 event had them cross over with Baywatch.
What? And you can't get much bigger in the 90s than Pamela Anderson's chest.
No, I don't think there was much else interesting at the rest of them. Ric Flair vs. Hogan in 94.
Which was Hogan's debut in WCW.
Yep. And then in 96, they had a match between the Outsiders versus Sting. Oh, yeah, of course, that was the debut of the NWO. It was the big Hogan heel turn and the launch of the New World Order, brother.
The real start. You were working me there. I was going to... What are you talking about? It was the NWO. The real genesis of the Monday Night Wars. I know you can go back foundation-wise many years before then, but really, WCW became cool. WWF was on the ropes after this.
Pushed through
the ceiling, WCW did, thanks to the NWO faction. And that was what helped them beat WWF consistently, Monday after Monday, for a year and a half, really.
83 weeks. A podcast is called that. They've got that branding over very well, has Bischoff. But also, they used to use it for like some of the celebrity stuff. They did Luger and the Giant versus Rodman and Hogan. The year following, Rodman came back, but this time it was against DDP and Karl Malone, another basketball player in there. And then the last Bash at the Beach. So the last Bash at the Beach took place in the year 2000. The distant time of the year 2000. Felt so real to me.
Felt like the end of wrestling.
Quite. But that was when you had the angle between Jarrett, WCW champion Jarrett and Hulk Hogan, where Jarrett laid down for him and Hogan pinned him, and he cut the promo saying, "This is why this company's in the trash. It's because of crap like this." And he even swore at the time because Vince Russo had come out with him. And then Vince Russo came out to cut a promo. The idea behind this, as far as I can tell in various interviews, was that we would then have Hogan would leave with the belt, and then we would crown a new champion on that night between Jarrett and Booker T. And then at Starrcade, Hogan would come back and claim, "I'm the real world champion." And you would do a champion versus champion match at Starrcade 2000. Instead, what happened is that Vince Russo went out and called Hogan a big bald son of a bitch. Hogan got very mad and filed a very real character defamation lawsuit and never returned to WCW again.
And even if it didn't go down that way that it was supposed to, you've already called the thing you're doing fake.
Oh, yeah.
So how can you walk around saying I'm the real world champion when you yourself admitted in your post-match promo to winning it via a scripted means? Anyway, what we're trying to get over here is that Bash at the Beach is a very big name. I had 2 playset rings as a kid, wrestling rings. Not like muscle-up rings.
No.
And one was my standard WWF one, which I think made some sound effects when people hit the mat hard enough. That lasted 2 weeks. But the other one was my WCW Bash at the Beach themed ring that floated in the bath.
Amazing.
With a trap door so they could go through onto my ghoulies.
Now, if it's me, I want this to be like, do you remember when they used to do the spring break episodes of Nitro where the ring used to be in a swimming pool?
Yeah.
That's what I want for this show. I know they've announced that it's in a center, but I hope...
Fill it with water is what you're saying.
Absolutely. I want it to be in a pool. I want them to have the sand at the top of the ramp. I want there to be surfboards. I want all of the commentators to be in Hawaiian shirts with like the hula, what you call them, around the neck. The whole 9 yards.
With Excalibur in a Hawaiian shirt-themed mask.
Yes, absolutely.
That's exactly what WCW used to do. Tony Schiavone, Bobby Heenan, Mike Tenay, they used to be sitting there in Hawaiian shirts, and it was glorious.
Oh, it was amazing. They would really... One of the best things about WCW was they would dive into a theme.
Oh, yeah. When we do our review of this episode, we should wear Hawaiian shirts.
Absolutely.
Now, usually, Bash at the Beach comes in the height of summer, July, August. Sure, Miami is pretty warm most of the time, but it's going to be a bit cognitively dissonant to be in the cold, cold month of January.
I'm just doing some Googling, Miami, Jan.
And watching a summer-themed episode of Dynamite.
It's 23 degrees Celsius, you know.
But it's not massively warm.
It's still 23. It's going to be like 4 here. Actually, it'd probably be less than that.
But it is weird.
Comparatively,
there's a reason that normal people don't watch Christmas movies in the summer. Because it just feels a bit weird.
But Die Hard was released in the summer.
Now, here's where it gets potentially more interesting. I mean, there's a lot to dive in here, which we're going to. I'm really excited, by the way.
So I said to Ollie, because initially I saw this as misreported, this was going to be their next pay-per-view, because we're expecting them to announce a pay-per-view in January. They're looking to do it quarterly. So January looks to be the time they would have their next show.
Full Gear November. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and when they saw Bash at the Beach, I saw someone report it as... It's Bash at the Beach. And I said, you was like, hey, AEW have announced their next pay-per-view. And you said, oh, really, what's it called? And I said, Bash at the Beach. And you went, like this big, sharp intake of breath.
Yeah.
Because this is a WWE-owned name.
Well.
When WWE bought WCW and all of its assets in 2001... it was assumed they owned everything. That's why they've got War Games. That's why they started doing the Great American Bash. That's why they started doing Starrcade, their house show series they've started doing. I think they've done a Halloween Havoc. No. That's one I think we fantasy booked them bringing back. But we always assumed that Bash at the Beach was one of the names they owned.
Now, and according to Wikipedia, they did on the buyout of WCW, WWF, WWE now, of course, got all those trademarks and intellectual property rights. For whatever reason, they have not renewed them, it seems, because going back to March 20th this year, PW Insider reported that Cody Rhodes had filed multiple trademarks, including Battle Bowl, Bunkhouse Stampede, Prince of Wrestling, and Bash at the Beach. And then Cody, that same day, tweeted a GIF of a beach with some wonderful lapping waves. Picture yourself on a beach. That just said Bash, and then Nick Jackson replied to that saying, at the beach?
Nice.
So this has been in the works since the 20th of March.
And on 20th of March, that was before they had a TV deal as well. So this was them putting, getting their ducks in a row.
And you've got to think that Battle Bowl and Bunkhouse Stampede, and Battle Bowl, both Dusty Rhodes' ideas. Those were concepts that he came up with. Cody's father, of course. Bunkhouse Stampede's like a tournament thing. Can't really quite remember what it entails. But this crosses over into what might be AEW's larger plan. So we already know that Chris Jericho is going to have a second cruise.
It comes the week after.
The week after. It starts on the 20th and it ends on the 24th of January.
Yes.
He's Rock and Wrestling Rager at Sea. It's the second one. The first one was very successful and it had everyone from Ring of Honor and New Japan and
TNA. Impact.
But AEW stars before they were AEW stars.
Was meant to have NXT until Triple H said no.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't control it.
And so the Bash at the Beach episode is on the 15th. I know maybe it does go out to a beach, and that episode ends with them all boarding the ferry because the next episode on the next week is gonna be on the boat.
It's going to be the first episode of television, the first episode of wrestling television to air live from a cruise ship.
Live from international waters. Just got a monkey with a knife wrestling with another monkey. International waters, baby.
Doug Judy's going to be playing the piano. You can't arrest me here.
Yeah. So this is. I'm really, really excited about this. I love.
Was that just your AEW bias?
It probably is. Yeah. How dare me get behind a company that has some momentum? That's not to say I'm not excited about Survivor Series. I am. It's just Bash at the Beach. I used to play with the ring in my bath.
But anyway, this is a tremendously exciting bit of news. It also kind of backs up the sort of thing that you and I have been talking about, which is that because the pay-per-views are quarterly, you announce big time Dynamite episodes as your sort of mini pay-per-views. You build to these big shows. That's why I was excited by the Scorpio Sky pin over Jericho, because that is something, you're not building that to the next pay-per-view, you're just building to a big episode of Dynamite where you're going to have a championship match and you do some really exciting undercard stuff on there as well. And this seems to be the evidence that is the plan, is that we'll have pay-per-views quarterly, but we're also going to have these big episodes of Dynamite as well that will sort of fill the gaps in between the pay-per-views.
Should we see what the super chats say, or what people what their reaction is in general?
Yeah, I mean, so Mike Depew says, I miss Cyber Sunday. I want to pick opponents and stips.
I never like Cyber Sunday. I think because it's you're leaving it up to the fans of what they're going to have. You fall into the trap of really limiting the choices. So it's like, what match do you want to see them wrestle in? A hardcore match? A street fight? Or you just list three of the set, or a Brooklyn street fight?
Yeah.
Like, they're the same freaking stipulation.
Yes.
Fucking stipulation.
And Dam says we should bring back Slapnuts. Listen up, Slapnuts.
Oh, yeah,
Jericho. Sorry, Jarrett's thing.
What are other people saying in the chat?
Well, let's have a look at the chats. What people are saying. A lot of people are saying Halloween Havoc. Bring back Halloween Havoc.
I mean, if they bring back Bash at the Beach in July, we can probably expect Halloween Havoc in May.
Yep. I love that they're all marks. I love AEW. They are, like, Cody is a mark for wrestling history, isn't he? Particularly WCW wrestling history.
In reply to the tweet, Golden Boy, who is, of course, one of the commentary team, has just tweeted, "This pleases me," with this gif of a man nodding.
And Falcon Guy, they're going to get cease and desisted, right? Apparently not. They own the rights to it.
Yeah.
Which I find really interesting, because I would have thought that I obviously missed this bit of news that they got the name for it.
Yeah.
I honestly thought it would have been a WWE owned thing.
Potentially really big strategic error for WWE. So you know how they've been aggressively re-signing people, locking people down who might potentially leave, not requesting releases. I don't know how you can have that mindset for talent and then look at intellectual property you have the rights to and not have the same worry or concerns.
Yeah.
For that to lapse in March is... But that's around the time that they were granting releases. They let Goldust and Ty Dillinger go in February. Mm-hmm. This expired on March 20th. Maybe it was just before they started taking the AEW threat seriously, which I would argue comes with Jon Moxley's announcement video on May the 1st.
That's what I was going to say as well. More shouts for Halloween Havoc. Someone saying Road Wild. Don't bring back Road Wild, though. Bash with the Lovely Boys.
Yeah! Yes. Lovely Boys at the beach.
Lovely Boys at the beach. World War 3. Just thinking about other WCW things I can bring back.
So it had 3 rings.
Yes. Lots of people thought they were going to get sued, but I think we all assumed that it was a WWE-owned thing.
I think the Young Bucks have learnt their cease and desist lesson.
Yeah, I think they have as well. What else we got here? 2 live streams on a Monday.
Yeah. Live stream with the boys. Well, we're excited about this news. Shall we wrap things up? Please go and watch the WrestleTalk news that went up slightly just before this, which details a lot of people asking for their releases and one actual WWE title holder, WWE champion, are looking at the options outside of the company and all the stuff that's entailed there. So go over and watch that. Click subscribe. We've got some good stuff coming tomorrow. We're going to put the Raw in about 4 minutes review with some news. So it will still be a 4-minute review with the countdown timer, but it will be a 10-minute overall video. Please don't hate us. It's not working in the algorithm or monetarily. And we're going to try out something else with a cut down video of our live stream later on after the Raw review. But for now, I've been Ollie Davis. This has been Luke Owen. And that was wrestling.